Welcome back for another video. We've picked out all the big talking points for Gameweek 22 as a Gameweek guide. We'll talk about what to do with Haaland, Salah, Son, De Bruyne, the blanks and doubles and all those good things to run through. Thanks for sending the questions in, let's get into it. Question from Alex on whether to buy Haaland and sell Alvarez or to wait a week, and also asks if it makes more sense to look at De Bruyne. As he said, Haaland wasn't named in Man City's FA Cup squad, which was the last game they'll play before Burnley on Wednesday. Considering that, he's clearly a big risk and whether he starts, and a benching looks more likely if he's in the squad. We have got a question specifically about De Bruyne which we'll dig into later in the video. If we assume that Haaland's not in the starting 11 against Burnley, that inflates Alvarez's appeal as well. He'll have a higher chance of being involved in the goals and he'll be on pens as well. Easy hold this week. Min Quanang is looking for an update on the upcoming double and blank game weeks. So as a refresher, Brentford and Man City are the two teams confirmed to double in Gameweek 25 at the moment. Brentford have got Liverpool and then Man City, and City have got Chelsea and then Brentford. Liverpool and Luton have a good chance of doubling in 25 as well now. They're still in all competitions, so the Premier League are pressured to rearrange those postponements early. If the double is announced, then Liverpool would face Brentford and Luton would have Man United and Liverpool. There's about a 75% chance of double Gameweek 25 happening for Liverpool and Luton. And given it's under a month until then, we should get an announcement soon if it's happening. Liverpool are confirmed to blank in Gameweek 26 now, which is new information, along with Luton. As it stands, Chelsea and Spurs also blank in Gameweek 26. This will almost certainly remain the case. There's probably about a 5% chance the game moves to the midweek to remain in the game week. And lastly, blank Gameweek 29. Graphic from Losers AV Losers. These percentages are still moving as the FA Cup games are played. Gameweek 29 clashes with the FA Cup quarterfinals, hence the blank. Fulham, Spurs, Burnley and Brentford are definitely playing in Gameweek 29. Arsenal, Chelsea, West Ham and Villa have a 34% chance of playing, and they're the next likeliest to have their games go ahead. Brighton and Man City almost certainly blank with a 94% chance. Chimp Flipper Jr. asks about Kudus, Neto and Hwang. Kudus on his way back from AFCON, and we're still waiting to find out when Hwang returns, once South Korea knocked out the Asian Cup. They're all great options. If I were to rank them, it'd be Hwang, then Kudus and then Neto. Neto's poor injury record is pretty off-putting, and Hwang in general is having a better season with 10 goals, 3 assists, and he has taken a pen. Neto and Hwang are the same price as well at 5.6 mil, but Hwang's on about double the points and a better minutes per XGI. If we compare the three's underlying numbers, it does back up Hwang as the superior pick, with 8.3 XGI over the season. I've included some other players around the same price bracket for comparison. Palmer well ahead, though obviously a number of pens taken, and then Gordon, then Ward-Prowse. Richarlison though, with 140 minutes per XGI is really impressive, though he does blank in 26, which is something to be careful of when spending transfers now. Werner asks whether De Bruyne's worth buying now, or is Foden the better option? This one's a really good question, because Foden's about 2.6 mil cheaper and fully fit. De Bruyne costs a lot more, but he is the better FPL asset in terms of points over the years. However, he's yet to start a game since returning from injury. Pep's never been the type of manager to rush a player back unless it's a crucial cup game, so probably a 25% chance of starting in Gameweek 22 feels about right. And by the way, probably similar for Haaland. We've seen him haul off the bench though just last game week, and it is an easy opposition in Burnley next, so if you want to move early it's perfectly fine. De Bruyne is the better pick than Foden. However, something to bear in mind is a double Gameweek 25 that we discussed does getting KDB block you from owning Trent and Salah. It is an incredible double Gameweek for Liverpool if it drops in Gameweek 25. And we at least know that Trent and Salah will start if they're both fit in both games. The smart play, all things considered, might be to wait till Gameweek 23 to see if the double is announced and what KDB's minutes are like against Burnley. Salah's injury is also a factor now though. We've had a vague estimate of 21 to 28 days till he's back, which worst case scenario could rule him out of the Brentford game in Gameweek 25. De Bruyne becomes the clear standout pick along with Haaland in that scenario if he's not back in time. With that all in mind, let's have a look at what the experts are doing this week. The full video is going to be out closer to the deadline, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. So a lot of them are selling Son and Salah, for De Bruyne interestingly. At the time of recording, De Bruyne is the most popular transfer in, and they're willing to roll the dice on his minutes against Burnley. After the biggest score of Gameweek 21, some are selling Son for Diogo Jota, scored again in the FA Cup as well against Norwich. As a reminder, South Korea plays Saudi Arabia on 30th of January 4 PM UK time, so that game will finish right before the deadline unless it goes to extra time. If South Korea knocked out in the round of 16, then we'll know that Son's back for Gameweek 23, which does make him a reluctant sell at that point. So if Son was someone you were thinking of selling this week, the wise thing to do might be to wait until then if you can. Some are replacing Trippier, who was forced off in the FA Cup. Howe said he had a groin problem grumbling away for a while now. and he was a bit fatigued towards the end of the match, and he said fingers crossed it's nothing serious. They're selling him for Trent, who is back from injury now, and he was named on the bench in Liverpool's FA Cup win over Norwich. Pau Torres still out injured. He didn't make Villa's cut for the Chelsea game, and some experts are selling him for Walker. City topped the Gameweek 23 clean sheet odds, and they've got the double Gameweek 25 a few weeks away now, and no blank in 26. In Chelsea's FA Cup game, Colwell was replaced by Gilchrist due to a potential injury, so some are selling him for Estupiñán. And lastly, some are selling Salah for Foden this week. Given the injury that Salah's got, it looks perfectly fine to sell now, so that's a quick overview of the experts' transfers, and we'll dig into it more in the next video. Deschil's got 3 Chelsea assets and 2 Spurs assets, and with the blank game he combined in 26, he asked whether it's time to wildcard. The wildcard's very team dependent, but now it's definitely not the right time to use it in my eyes. There's too much uncertainty in terms of Liverpool's double Gameweek 25, Salah's availability, De Bruyne is a potential pick. If you find yourself a Gameweek 25 with a ton of players blank in a Gameweek 26 and you can't fix it with a couple of hits, then the ideal play would be to wildcard into double Gameweek 25 to load up with players that double, and also prepare your team for the blank that immediately follows. Let's have a look at the fixture ticker and which teams have got the easiest games. This is sorted by easiest difficulty to hardest over the next 5 top down. It does help to look at where we should be focusing with our transfers, and since there were a few questions about under the radar picks, we'll combine that and talk about a few at the same time. So City are top of the fixture ticker, so it's pretty obvious we should be looking there in the coming weeks of our transfers. We've talked about the Haalands, De Bruynes, Foden, etc. Ederson's 15% owned, and he's probably the safest route into City's defence, and he doesn't blank in Gameweek 26. Walker's great as well for about the same price, but Stones is nearing a return. However, be careful who you pair Ederson with if you're going there. If you're not going to free hit in Gameweek 29, then aim to have a backup keeper that will play, and refer to the earlier graphic in the video on the Gameweek 29 blank chances. Eze's got Sheffield United home next, and only 6 mil, which is a bargain. Palace are third on the fixture tick over the next 5. He's on pens, and Elise's been spotted back in training as well, which is a huge boost. Man United have got Wolves, West Ham, Villa, Luton and Fulham in their next 5. Nice run of games, and Garnacho is probably the best super cheap mid in the game at the moment at 4.8 mil, and he's starting regularly. The points will come, and he's a nice way to find the funds if you're looking for multiple premiums again, like Salah and Haaland. Villa also have a nice run of games ahead, and they don't blank in Gameweek 26 when they're home to Forest, and they're unlikely to blank in 29. So someone like Konsa is cheap enough to stick on your bench and use him when you need him, and someone like Bailey is a good cheap midfielder as well. If you'd like to play around with the fixture tick and other tools, it's all completely free on my website, fpl.page. Henry Stemmer asks, who's the best 3 Man City assets for Gameweek 25? To be honest, the information we get between now and then is going to be key in answering this. Right now it's not completely clear. For example, Foden looks like top 3 at the moment, but by Gameweek 25 he could have been benched once or twice for all we know, while Alvarez might have played every game over that time. A lot can change in a few game weeks. If I had to pick the top 3 right now, Haaland's obvious, then De Bruyne, then Walker. But Foden, Ederson, Alvarez, Bernardo Silva are all great options as well. We'll definitely revisit this one just before the game week. Country Knowledge asks if bringing Tony in is a sensible move with their double Gameweek 25 approaching. There's a lot to like about Tony. 20 goals, 4 assists last season, on penalties, on free kicks, doubles in 25, doesn't blank in 26 or 29, and plays 90 every game. So he's absolutely a viable pick. He's actually scored 3 free kicks since the start of last season, which amazingly is joint most of Ward-Prowse, but he's done that in 15 fewer shots. Although it's a really tough double, he's the type of player that can score against anyone. We've not seen him this season obviously, but last season he scored a brace against City, he scored against Arsenal, etc. It's just a shame he's not a bit cheaper. 7 mil would have been a really tempting price, but for 8 mil, with everything considered, he's undeniably a strong option. And if it comes off for you, then at such low ownership, there's massive upside there. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if it was an enjoyable watch. See you soon for the next one.